I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address.
We're not just building muscle, we're building men. In the quiet hours, in the unfiltered moments, in the conversations that happen before the world wakes up. This is the Gloom, where brotherhood forms in the dark so we can lead in the light, where vulnerability is strength and leadership is handed from man to man, one story at a time. Our mission is to empower, exhort, and inspire men to achieve their best selves through stories of reinvigorated male community leadership. We bring you weekly interviews with F3 Omaha PACs, ordinary men doing extraordinary things in fitness, fellowship, faith, and leadership, because we believe that every man has a story, and reinvigoration starts when that story is shared. This is the Glue in the Gloom. Shout out to our sponsors, Avior Wealth Management, Liberty Core Real Estate, Major Team Mortgage, Exclusively Eye Care, Omaha Laser Dentistry, and McNamara Law Firm. We appreciate your support. Liberty Core Real Estate is your homegrown real estate broker. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, whether personal or investment, Armando, aka Brian, and Megan Michaels' company is ready to serve you. With Command Center in Old Town Elkhorn and agents all throughout the metro, they are more than ready to guide and serve you in your next real estate endeavor. Whether your next move needs to happen now or in 5 years, call or text Armando at 402-770-2165 to get your questions answered. And a special offer for F3 Nation PACs members, Liberty Core will donate $250 to your sponsor of choosing for every closed transaction. Stop looking, start finding today with Liberty Core Real Estate. Now, let's get back to the Gloom. We're half in the Nomad, and we got our special guest co-host Pony Express on the virtual end, which is cool. I don't know that we have done one of these.
We haven't done it like this yet, so I'm hoping it goes without issue. But I was just telling Bambi how jealous I am that you guys get to be in the Nomad, which is just such a sweet space that we're lucky to be able to use. So happy to see how it works out.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and Pony gave it away, but we got our man Bambi with us, who's a guy from the east side of town, recently a site Q at Beverly Hills. We're excited to get your story. I don't know that I've had a chance to work out much with you, maybe just a couple times. But
I think a few times at Woodshed.
Yeah.
I see you once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm excited to get your story. It'll be good. And, just keep in mind, right, anything I ask you, if I ask weird questions, that's kind of my job here. So
okay.
You can always say no or whatever you need to. But where we like to start is that kind of EH story. So sort of who EH'd you, and then tell us about that first workout. Would love like your initial first impressions. And then of course, how'd you get the name Bambi?
Yeah. So Blackjack was the main person that EH'd me, telling me about F3, and asked a little bit about it. And he said it's outside at different parks. And then when he said, first thing, when he said 5:30 in the morning, it's like, I'm not interested. And then he said, it's always outside, even in the winter. It's like, nope, not interested. So I knew about it for about a year. And he would mention it every few months or something, but just wasn't interested. And then I believe it was the summer of 2023 that I read the book Comfort Crisis, which I recommend, but talking about how in our society, we value comfort so much that we don't want to do any hard things whatsoever. Wow. So reading that book reminded me of F3 and what Blackjack says. Like, you know what? I want to try, like, I can do hard things. Like, okay, I want to try something hard. So I just showed up at Beverly one morning because I know Blackjack told me they hadn't met there. So Blackjack wasn't there. I just showed up.
Nice.
So I had no idea what I was getting into. And I remember that morning, I believe U-Haul was on the queue. And yeah, people had nicknames. And we had Creeper Corner doing monkey humpers and pickle pushers. And I was like, what did I get myself into?
Definitely uncomfortable if that's what you're looking for.
Had no idea about all these different names for Merkins and different things, but just followed along. But by the end, it's like, okay, this is kind of fun. And then we had coffee afterwards.
Yeah.
And my goal was to do F3 maybe 3 or 4 times just that summer because it was July.
Yeah.
3 or 4 times just to prove I could do something hard.
Yeah.
But what happened was the cafeteria got me with the community.
Yeah.
And getting to know the guys more. And it's like, okay, I can continue on from there. So that's kind of my EH story. Took over a year, but loving it ever since.
Yeah. Talk us through that first workout you get in the circle, and what'd you say that landed on the name Bambi?
Yeah. So getting in that circle, sharing about myself and stories I shared when I was first of all, it happened in college. We were at Valley Forge National Park, and there was lots of deer in that park. And I had just lost a round of Frisbee golf to a freshman in college. I was a senior, and I lost to a freshman. So I was kind of upset. And there were a herd of deer nearby. I was like, you know what? I just want to hit a deer with a Frisbee from it. So I tried to hit the deer with a Frisbee, but I missed, but ran after the deer, kept throwing it at it. But then a park ranger came up and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's like, "Well, I'm trying to hit a deer with a Frisbee."
Oh, no.
He said, "Is this what you do for fun in Indiana?" Because I was there. I grew up in Indiana.
Okay.
And I couldn't lie to a park ranger. I said, "No, we shoot them in Indiana.
Yeah.
Hit them with a Frisbee."
Yeah.
So I didn't hit a deer then, but later on when my wife and I were dating, we were at NP Dodge, north of town. There were a herd of deer. And I told we were dating at that time. I was like, "Wait 1 second. I had a Frisbee in my trunk of my car. Got it out, threw it, and I hit a deer with the Frisbee, and my wife saw it and witnessed it.
And that's when she said yes. She decided I'm going to marry.
She was super impressed with that. Super impressed. But
how did it go? So you go, Blackjack's not there. How do you break the news to him? Hey, by the way, I showed up. You weren't there.
So say that again.
I said with you going and Blackjack not being there, how'd you break the news to him that you had showed up and he wasn't there?
Well, I didn't know EH was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, I just showed up.
Yeah.
And because people ask me, well, who told you about it? Well, Blackjack. Like, I didn't know it was common, like, for the person EHing you to show up too. So it wasn't a big deal for me on that, from that side of things. And I told Blackjack probably a couple weeks later that, hey, I'm doing this and stuff.
Cool.
So
did you know his F3 name? You knew to say it was Blackjack?
I did know his F3 name at that time, yes.
Okay.
That was about the only person I knew his F3 name.
That's funny.
From it. Yes.
Love it. What about, so when you think about, and I would love to hear more about this book, Comfort Crisis, but from a like kind of a physical fitness standpoint, what's been your journey? It sounds like maybe you're a Frisbee golf guy, but has physical activity been something? Like, are you a runner or is this sort of a new thing for you?
Yeah, it's always been. So I'm a software developer.
Okay.
I sit behind the computer all day. So I need a break. My break is doing something physical.
Yeah.
So before F3, it was running 3 or 4 times a week, about 4 miles at a time. Once in a while, training for a race. 2022, 21, I believe I did a marathon. It was my second marathon.
Cool.
From it, but usually lifting weights 1 or 2 times a week, and then running 3 or 4 times a week.
Nice.
From it. Now, since joining F3, a lot of it is F3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I'll run maybe 1 or 2 times a week other than that.
Yeah.
But it's a good break for me doing a physical activity from sitting behind the computer all day from that. So I've always been somewhat physical, not trying to win any competitions necessarily, but just staying in shape.
Just stay healthy.
Yeah.
I love
Just
it.
to be jacked.
Yeah, just to be jacked.
Yes.
Yeah. What so as you came into F3, I would be curious, like what did you think from the, like, were you gassed at the end of that first workout, or was it kind of manageable, or do you feel like you've been able to kind of help still meet some of those fitness goals? Or
Yeah, I think I forget how I felt at the end. I remember it was a good workout, and that's where when we had coffee afterwards, there's something about F3 when you work out first as men, and then you have coffee, men tend to open up more in conversation. In general, I remember that really sticking out the first time that I did a workout as well. And it was a good workout. I didn't feel 100% gassed.
Sure.
But a good,
Yeah.
an overall workout using muscle groups I don't necessarily use
Yeah.
all the
Well,
time.
I think it's good you went to the first coffee because I know for some guys it's like that's kind of an afterthought they just pick up as an additional item as they kind of go along. So it's awesome that you went your first time. Would be curious, I know you knew Blackjack, or at least you guys were somewhat acquaintances, whatever your relationship was, but did you know any of the other guys as you came in? Like maybe recognize some guys that you knew in the community or anything?
No, not at all. No one. Yeah. So it's definitely getting out of my comfort zone. I was like, okay, I'm going to do something. And I don't know anyone. There was another person, Paul Lamphere.
Oh yeah.
I forget his F3 name. I don't think his is involved anymore, but he had mentioned it once or twice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Too. But no, I knew no one else at all that first time going
Well,
in.
and that's just so interesting to me because I think you have kind of a unique story, at least to me, where during the College World Series, you had someone staying at your house that was witnessing the College World Series, and then they posted downrange, right? So you got to bring them to the woodshed, and I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We had some people, parents of a baseball player playing for the Gators, 2 years in a row. And the second year, I believe I invited him to F3 on a Monday. And then he wanted to keep coming. So we did 4 or 5 days that week. Usually I'm a 3-day week person, but I did 4 or 5 that week because he was enjoying it too. And it was fun too, that sharing the joy of F3 with him as well.
Oh, yeah, I just always thought that was so cool. So I wanted to make sure we got to highlight that piece.
Yeah. Yep.
I love it. What do you remember? So as you kind of continued in F3, how did you progress through the different AOs or different sites? Like, did you do a Murph eventually? And like, what's your take? on
I
that?
think the first month or two, I only did 1 time a week at Beverly Hills.
Okay.
But consistently went to coffee, and coffee is what kept me coming.
Yeah.
Like if I hadn't have done coffee, I think I would have stopped after a few months.
Yeah.
But getting to know them guys well, and then I didn't realize how many sites there were.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people told me about, I don't know the next site I did, but some other site on the east side.
Yeah.
So then I would do 2 times a week for a month or 2, and then I went up to 3 times. Then I tried 4 or 5 times, and that was just too much for me.
Yeah.
Too many days in a row.
Yeah.
From it. But I think it was over like a 3-month period where I went from 1 time a week to up to 3 times a week.
That's awesome.
And then getting to know the other guys throughout the AOs that I went to.
Nice. Have you done so we have a Frisbee site, the disco,
The
right?
disco, yeah.
Is that
I have
one
done
that
that
you
a
go
few
to?
times, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I enjoy that as well. I am in my 40s now, and my father and most of my uncles all blew out their knees in their late 30s and early 40s. So
Okay.
I'm just mindful of that.
Yeah.
But so I'm not playing Frisbee as much because I don't want to
Yeah.
blow out my knees, but I really enjoy it. And I do play disco.
Yeah.
I just don't dive as much as I used to when I was in my 20s
Yeah.
for it, but it is fun from that. So I do play this summer. I played maybe 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
Disco on Friday
That's
morning.
So you're smarter than most of us, right? 'Cause
Yeah, I was
most
about to
of
say,
us, we forget that we're older and we can't do what we did when we were younger.
Yeah, I want to continue being able to work out and stuff.
Well, I was going to say,
Yes.
you're definitely smarter than Plague because I've seen him diving for balls anytime we're doing something. Like, hey, man, you're like 40 now.
Hey,
Don't do
now that
that.
Ponzi's back, right? We need a rematch of the old woodshed kickball game, right?
Yeah.
That's what we need. I love it. So talk me through. So you started going to coffee, and from a fellowship standpoint. So this is going to be a very stereotype question, but I think I can ask this because I work in IT. Typically, developers maybe are like more introverted or like analytical, and so the like community engagement interaction is maybe more difficult. But it sounds like that was early on. You've latched onto that. But how did you build some of those key relationships and start kind of leaning into the guys?
Yeah. It started with the COTs, a circle of trust, that at the end of the workout, when the Q would share just his story, I was very impressed in a good way of like, wow, he like, it wasn't necessarily super deep, but it was like medium deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that COT. So then at coffee, I felt more, I don't know, more at ease, just asking about stuff in general with the other PAX members and them sharing too. There's this openness that definitely is not typical at when I worked at a software company with other developers and stuff. Developers sometimes we're just socially awkward at times, and I'm not afraid of being in a socially awkward conversation too. It's like, yeah, it is what it is. But those COTs actually, I think, really paved the way for better conversations at coffee, where I felt like I got to know the other men better than just a surface level. I know it wasn't long after I joined. So I joined in July, and it was that fall. It was by that time I had met Bobsled, and he was just very vulnerable where he was in his life. And I was praying for him, and I said, "Hey, Bobsled, if you want, I'd love to go through a book with you together, just talking about identity." And I think he mentioned this on this podcast too. And he's like, "Yeah, let's do that." And that was good for me as well, just going through that. But other guys leading by example helped have deeper relationships during the cafeteria times.
Really cool.
Well, and I'd be curious. I mean, we're so fascinated with this concept of acceleration, right? You're accelerating. We hope that F3 is helping you accelerate in all aspects of life. So fitness for sure, that we've kind of talked about. But then on the second half, this relationship piece here, you know, I'd be kind of curious where you've found yourself prior to finding F3, and then how F3 has kind of helped accelerate, if it has at all.
Yeah. I run a software company, a small one, just me and one other employee. We both work from home. So I work from home, and I don't get to see many other people on a day-to-day basis. I'm highly involved with my church and lead a Bible study once a week. But on a day-to-day basis, I was missing community that I had when I was working at a bigger software shop. And I found, like, with F3, that feels that desire to have community with some other men that's not necessarily just my wife and kids. Love my wife and kids working from home, but also need some other relationships. And so before F3, I have a couple good friends, but again, we don't hang out consistently. So F3 provides that for me, where I get to hang out consistently with some good men. We don't, I mean, over the past 2 years, I've developed really good friendships with different guys. They're not necessarily all my best friends, but they're definitely quality friends. So F3 has definitely filled that need in my life of having some quality friends that I see on a consistent basis.
I love it. What so Beverly is also a Q-Source site, or was?
It was no longer.
Okay.
For the past couple of years.
Was there Q-Source that first day after you went at coffee?
There was.
Okay.
There was. Sputnik was a Q at that time. And again, that was brand new to me. It was like the Q-Source, but he had it, like, did a summary of what it was about and then asked questions as well. And that does bring up that question time, and just guys sharing again helped me feel more comfortable getting to know the other guys too.
Well, I didn't even realize they offered it and they stopped offering it. What was maybe you can give some insight into why we made that decision to, okay, we're not going to do Q-Source.
Yeah, Beverly is one that starts at 5:30, and we found it's hard to do Q sources for ones that start at 5:30, and because we usually get a cafeteria at like 6:20, 6:25, and guys leave at 7. So it was hard to have a full conversation in that time. I know, like, Top Guns now does Q source, and they start at 5:15, so they have more time. So it was, lack of time that we were feeling.
I wonder if you would share more. I love this idea. And I remember Bobsled sharing about the book that you went through with him, and that being really impactful. But talk me through, if you would, like, curious, like, what prompted you to bring that up? Like, I love that. I think we should do more of that as men, but sort of like, how did you get to that point where you're like, hey, let's go through this together?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Bob Sled was just sharing hard time he was going through, and stuff, and I even forget the details, but when he was sharing, it reminded me of a time earlier in my life, um, dealing with identity issues of who I am as a Christian.
Mm.
And this book, Victory Over Darkness, I had read and was really good, uh, digging deep into who are we as Christians? Who does God say we are? So as Bobsled was sharing, it made me think that, and then I just asked, well, do you like this book's made a big impact on my life? And I just asked, do you want to do a book study together? I had no idea. I didn't think he would say yes to it. I didn't even push it hard.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I was just offering it kind of to be kind. I did mean it, but I didn't think that he would actually take me up on it.
And then he said yes.
And he said
he
yes,
said-
and you're like, oh shoot, I actually
Yeah.
have to
So
do
she
it.
was like, wait, how am I going to find time? Because I was already low on time overall and stuff, but made time for that. But yeah, it was an oh shoot moment and a good oh shoot moment.
Yeah.
Time. And it had been 10 years since I read the book. So again, it was a good refresher for me. And then also just good going through it with another member of Bobsled as
Yeah.
well.
Talk to me a little bit about the importance of men helping each other understand their identity. I think that's a really important topic, but would be curious your thoughts. Like for you, you know, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd be willing to share your struggles in that space, but I struggle with that too. So I'd love to hear
Yeah.
some of yours. insight.
Yeah, I do think it's important. I'm a Christian, and I believe that our identity of what we believe about ourselves is important because that's how we live it out. And like God has a lot to say about who we are.
Mhm.
And a lot of my work I have found is like actually believing it.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's one thing to just read about it in the Bible, but to really live that out, I think that's where other men can really help out. Where when other men speak into your life, it's like, no, I see this in you.
Mhm.
It becomes easier to believe that and live that out as well. I think that's one thing F3 does well, and it's about even in the mission statement to plant, grow, and serve small workout groups for the invigoration of male community and leadership. And that leadership involves identity
Yeah.
as well. But there is something when another man comes beside you and speaks that identity over you as well.
Mhm.
That I need that. And it was cool going through the book with Bobsled to be able to speak that over him.
Yeah.
And then even in that, he was helping me and speaking that over me as well.
Mm.
And just rubbing shoulders with other men, quality men. We rub off on each other, I think, in a good way.
Yeah.
In all areas of life.
Yeah. I love
I
it.
think that's just such a positive way to look at it. I know, Plague, you and I have talked about, I can't remember the book, but essentially your wife is a mouthpiece for the things that you're displaying, right? God is using
meaning
your
of
wife or
marriage.
your spouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
But oftentimes that can be seen as like, my spouse may be highlighting a negative attribute in myself that I need correction on. But I like what you're saying about, well, you know, we can use each other, we can use men to give affirmations to promote identities. And I just think that that's such a unique way to look at it. And I really like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
It makes me think about, we talk a lot about accountability, right? Holding each
Mhm.
other accountable. And I think the word accountability maybe has a negative connotation. So we think that means like, help me to not do the bad things I know I shouldn't do.
Mm.
But I also think there's this like, hold me accountable to the good things, right? That God says about me, because I'm tempted to believe some negative self-talk and believe sort of, you know, the devil or the split or whatever you want to call him, right? As he's trying to get in there and make me view myself negatively. So it's almost like this positive layer of accountability that's like, no, this is your true identity. So I love that.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. I would be curious, as you're thinking about other kind of second F stuff, have you had a chance to get into like a shield lock or build some of those really tight knit relationships or maybe not? I don't know. I think
I haven't had the chance to get in a shield lock. Again, I have some good friends at church that I view that more of a shield lock from it. So I haven't had a shield lock, but there are, let's say, 2 or 3 other guys at F3 that I know well.
Yeah.
And, share a lot of life with. So like West Ham is one that I share quite a bit with, and good looking. I see a lot as well from that. And there's some guys from my church that do F3 now once in a while. They're on the west side of town, so we don't
okay.
post together necessarily, but Zazu, I believe is his name. Yeah.
That's a good name.
Yes.
That's awesome. From
Yeah.
Lion King.
Yep.
I love it.
Yes.
Hey, are you the type of guy that likes to get up early in the winter to battle your jester? Do you love listening to people drone on and on and on about COVID in the gloom? Would you trust your vision to a guy nicknamed Cataracts? Well, if the answer to any of these questions is yes, fellas, you have bigger problems than you think. Dr. Cataracts, aka Dr. Wolf, can't solve all of your problems, but he can certainly help you solve the problems related to your eye health and vision. You will find many F3 principles throughout his practice. Check him out today at Exclusively Eye Care. Well, I would be curious because we've mentioned, kind of already talked a little bit about that third F or faith piece, but we kind of like to have guys kind of talk us through what's been your journey from a third F perspective. Like what was life like growing up and sort of what's that been like throughout the years?
Yeah. So grew up in a home, we went to church and grew up in Indiana. And then freshman year, I was always a good boy in general, for the most part.
A few little
You are a good boy, man.
Compared to
You're a
other
good boy.
boys, I was.
Yeah.
But freshman year of high school, that's when I started taking my faith more seriously, meaning pursuing a personal relationship with God, of reading the Bible and really praying and asking God to come through in different areas of my life and seeing that. And went to college.
Can I ask, when you started that, was there noticeable fruits of those labors?
So what started that was freshman year, our church put on wasn't a play, but it was called Heaven's Gates, Hell's Flames. It was a production that there was little skits, and each skit was kind of about heaven and hell from it, to just share about spiritual things. And part of that was the people from the church needed to act and be part of the skits. And so I showed up, had no idea what I was doing. And then they said I was going to be the drug pusher for a skit. And when they shared that, I talked to the person beside me and whispered, "What's a drug pusher?" Because I had no idea what a drug. And then when I found out, I was like, "Holy cow!" So I was so nervous, like I can't do this. Like this isn't me. Again, a good person, but I had stuff too. But it was first time in my life that I felt like I can't do this. Like I went to church and believed God, but I was able to always do stuff in my own strength, and that was the first time I couldn't. And I remember just praying, like, "God, you need to help me." And through that, then I realized there was more to Christianity than just attending church on Sunday. And that's when I started reading the Bible for myself. My youth pastor went through a devotional with me, met once a week to talk about that. So that's where I realized there was more to Christianity than just going to church on Sunday, but that the prayer, reading the Bible was more. So then went to college thinking that I was going to be a pastor. I felt called at that time at the beginning of college. And by the end of college, and again, just sharing about God's goodness, freshman year, I was like, how much can I be involved in doing good things for God? And I was involved in 7 different campus ministries weekly. And
where'd you go to college at?
Small private Christian college in Indiana called Anderson University.
Okay.
From it. So highly involved, always looking to do more. And I remember the end of my freshman year or sophomore year, God getting a hold of me again, pursuing God. And I just felt run down a little bit, or just frustrated with God. And I remember I didn't audibly hear God, but I just sensed like this was what God was saying to me. God told me, because I'd mentioned like everything I'm doing for him. And God said, "I don't need you." And immediately my heart's like, "No, you need me. I could do this. It's like, oh crap.
Oh, you do. I know you do.
I was like, oh wait, God, you are God. Okay, you don't need me. But through that, I realized I was getting my sense of worth, not out of who God said I was, but out of what I was doing for God. Like I put that sense of, I put it in the wrong place. None of none of those things were bad. But I was getting my sense of worth out of what I was doing instead of who I was. And
Mm,
that was a pivotal time in my life of like, okay, I don't have to be as high strung and
mm,
actually relax,
yeah,
and really embrace who I am. And it's a thing I have to continue to work on. And
yeah,
that's where that
yeah,
book, Victory Over Darkness, again helps with that, um, as well. And that's the kind of the broad story of where I'm at,
yeah,
spiritually, involved with the church. So long story short, by the end of college, I no longer felt called to full-time ministry as far as working at a church full-time.
yeah,
Um, but I run a software company, but I'm still involved as a leader at my church and stuff. So
yeah,
doing both, and that's great because I'm not a better Christian because I'm working at a church or
right.
anything, from that. So
I love that, and I've been right there too, where you're sort of like, "No, God, I'm pretty sure you can't do your work without me,"
yeah,
right? And he's pretty quick to remind at least me,
yeah,
right? Same thing you said, right? Is like, "I'm God, you're not.
yes,
I'll be in charge here." But I think some of it is like this weird, not weird, but like we were created in God's image, right? And so then we have this desire to have dominion and to
hmm,
lead and to do all these things, which we should do, but out of this place of surrender to Him.
yes,
And I think that's been like every day, right? I'm
yeah.
like trying to remember that to live out of that. So
Yeah, and it helped me just understand God's love for me that much more
yeah,
because I wasn't letting God love me or be proud of me
mm,
unless I felt that I was doing enough. So I was kind of
yeah,
controlling how much I let God love me or be proud of me.
yeah,
Whereas,
Mm.
like, okay, well, no, it's not about that. I need to let God be God. And in that, like, yeah, God, I felt God say, I don't need you. But through it all, it's like, He wants to use me. So
yeah,
it's not
Yeah.
like He wants nothing to do with me. That's not
yeah,
what He was meaning.
yeah,
But He was meaning for me more is like, hey, it's not, don't get your sense of worth out of what you're doing. I can
yeah,
do all things even without you, but I do decide to use you. And then that right there, my relationship with God made it made it that much more deeper because it
hmm,
wasn't about me performing. But
yeah,
yet,
Mm.
in the midst of that, God still wants me.
yeah.
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 So what made you decide to go be a developer for Jesus? Or I'm just kidding. That's
Yeah, yeah,
what,
yeah.
what
No,
made you
that was
decide to
great.
go the developer
Um,
route?
so yeah, I'm a software developer. I'm a computer geek through and through. When I was 14 years old, I went to the bookstore and bought Learn Q Basic for Dummies
Oh wow.
and taught myself how to program as a middle schooler before the
Okay.
Wow.
internet. So I had to go through that book. And
Wow.
in high school, when I had the TI-83 calculator, I would program programs in the calculator, keep
Yeah.
track of my grades and different things. So I always thought I'd be a programmer. But then late high school felt called to ministry. It's like,
Yep.
okay, I'm willing to give all of that up, to pursue you, God. So I went to college, majored in Bible. My parents convinced me to minor in computer science. I
Okay.
didn't want to, but I wanted to obey my parents, like the Bible says, like, okay, I'll
Yeah.
minor in computer science. But computer classes, I'd go to addictinggames.com and play games because I had known everything already because like I'd already made so many programs before.
You're like, I
So
know more than you.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
So by the end of college, when I no longer felt called to the full-time ministry, it's like, oh, what am I going to do? And there's a software job opened up
Okay.
that God provided for. And it's like, well, I actually declined it first. But then I was like, well, maybe I will take it. And I did take it.
Wow.
And then it was cool because now looking back, it's cool seeing like my two passions of computers. I love computers, and my software company, we make software for missionaries to help them keep track of their donors and donations.
Oh, how cool
Oh,
To
is
just
cool.
that?
provide clarity, to make things simpler because it can be overwhelming. So it's just so cool seeing how God coordinated that I get to do both passions of
Yeah.
Yeah.
software development and also to ministry. I'm
Yeah.
not involved in a specific ministry, but I'm helping a lot of different ministries
Wow.
from
Really cool.
that. So I tell people that a Bible degree is very flexible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
helps me be a software developer. But
Yeah.
I say it sounds like you have a piece about you, making this transition, provided some peace or relief for you, and you've still found your way. I'd be curious on how it has kind of shaped how you shepherd your family.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm a father. We have, my wife and I have 4 kids. And I think one way it shapes is I'm intentional to not try to force them to be someone I want them to be, but more is like, okay, what are the giftings I see in them that God's giving them and encouraging them in that way to not put too much pressure on them that way. Still parent them well, help them do hard things like their homework because they don't want to do it. No matter what job you get, there'll be times you don't want to do stuff. So it's like, okay, I need to teach that, but I do want to let them grow in the giftings they each have individually. I think that is one thing as a result of my path that God's led me down. I will be intentional about that for my kids.
I love it.
Yeah.
Unpack a little bit family structure, boys, girls, all
Yeah,
ages.
so I have 3 boys and a girl.
Okay.
14, 12, 10, and 6.
Okay. So almost every 2 years, but
yep, almost every 2 years. Yeah, and even that between our 10 and 6-year-old, we had our first 3 kids. My wife and I had no issues getting pregnant. With our 4th one, we had a couple miscarriages. And that was hard.
Yeah.
And also a time that just needed to depend on other people.
Yeah.
Processing that. And we had built community at our church, and they really came around us and helped us during that time. And it was hard for my wife and I because we were leaders.
Yeah.
I'm an elder at our church.
Oh, cool.
But we felt like we should be leading you, but so many other people were bringing us food and different things and helping out, watching the other kids as we were going through those hard times. But my wife said, and when she was praying, she felt God say, like, you need to let others help you because I'm teaching them how to serve. That even as a leader, at times, you need to let others serve you to help others become leaders.
Yeah.
And then again, God provided. So then we had our 4th child.
Yeah.
And that was amazing too, because I'm 42. Most people don't realize, but my wife is 10 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
So she is 52. So when we had our youngest at 6 years, my wife was 46 years old.
Okay.
And we still had a kid and stuff. So that was, again, God providing, because we didn't know after a couple miscarriages we had another kid or not. And our kids knew that we had miscarried. And after the second one, my wife and I were kind of done. Like we don't want to try again.
Yeah.
But I remember that night after we shared about the second miscarriage, and we prayed together as a family each night. And it was my oldest, or Caroline, the second oldest, prayed, God, help another baby grow big and strong in mommy's tummy. And when my wife and I we didn't have enough to continue on as far as hoping for another one. It was our kids that helped us in that time. And they were 4 or 6 years old. And that was a big moment in our lives too. It was like, wow, they're helping us when we were feeling weak from it. And then, our youngest Ben came along, but that was a lot from our kids. We're helping my wife and I with that hope when we had lost hope.
So three girls, and then youngest is
3 boys and a girl. So
3
boy, girl, boy.
Oh, okay.
So 3 boys. Yeah.
Okay.
Boy, girl,
Got
boy. Yeah.
The F3, I think, has opened my eyes to the fact that like miscarriages are actually pretty common. They're a lot more common than I had ever realized. And it was a similar thing, right, between our middle and our youngest. And it's interesting, right? Because you go through the whole like excitement, and then you're like sort of adding another member to your family, and like kind of, like we went through the like, okay, we're thinking of names, and then boom, it's just like sort of like, well, wait a minute, what do we do now? And I appreciate you sharing that, because I know a lot of guys have been impacted by that. Which is, it's not easy, but as men, we don't talk about it probably enough. You've mentioned something a couple times that I wonder if you would dive into, because I know, it's easy to focus on F3, but you've also mentioned a couple times the importance of your church community. Yeah. And I don't know that we talk about that enough, but would love to just sort of hear like how did you get to that place where you have sort of developed that community? And then I don't know if you have any insight or advice for other guys that are maybe looking for that, but not sure how to do that.
Yep. I've been involved in church most of my life. I moved to Omaha in 2008.
Okay.
And that was a big move. I only knew one person when I came out here.
Okay.
And I was single at the time. But one of the first things I did was work on finding a church.
Yeah.
And that was 18 years ago. And I remember it was a lot of work. Every Sunday going looking up churches and then finding, okay, which one do I want to go to?
Yeah.
And taking some time to do that. And there were sometimes I was tempted. The last thing I wanted to do on some Sundays was go to a new church where I knew no one whatsoever. From that. But I kept at it. And after 3 or 4 months, I found Waypoint Church where I go to now.
Cool.
And I just felt, I didn't feel like anything like this is definitely the one, but I just felt comfortable. Okay, this is where I could be. And I immediately asked about getting involved in a Bible study in the week and stuff. And that first week, the Bible study I went to was at a person's home, met in their basement, and I actually met my wife there that first week. It's she's kind of cute, but then I found out she's 10 years older than me. So it's okay, she's not for me and stuff. And it wasn't until a year later when we had started dating, but it took intentionality to find one. But I do believe it's important, as Christians, to be involved in a local community. From that, so I always seek to get involved, and I started volunteering with the youth there, and then have been involved in different things over the years at Waypoint Church.
I love it. We were actually just at the Nelsons, Nelson's Produce, right? They go to Waypoint.
Yep, they go to Waypoint.
Their daughter, Jaden, is in my daughter's class.
Okay.
And we were just down at Waypoint a week ago for Jaden's baptism.
Okay.
Which is wild. Just kind of a small world, but it was a really great experience. We loved it.
I didn't see you that morning. Shucks.
It was really cool because they did something I hadn't seen before. After a baptism, all of the sort of friends and family and some of the church members go out into the main area and sort of pray over the person that just got baptized. Really cool experience. So if people live close or even not, right? The Nelsons live out by us and go down to Waypoint. It's also really cool just hearing about, being involved in a church and sort of having the opportunity to wrestle with God's word in a community of believers. And I do think there's a lot of, it's great to read books, right? Because books sort of commentate or interpret for us, but it's also really good to just be in the word and wrestle with it together with other believers to expand your faith. And it sounds like you're doing that. So I love that. I have a ton of questions for you about your business, mostly if we could team up with you and iMac and develop a software powerhouse for churches, but we can take that offline. I'm also curious about leadership. So we've talked about our sort of mission statement, right? Invigorate male community leadership. Talk us through, as you got into F3, right? Some of those VQ and then taking over a site. What were those experiences like? What'd you learn from them?
Well, for each step of that leadership steps like VQ and then queuing more and that, I never felt ready. From it. Right. The VQ was I don't know. And, but it was good too. Of course, I remember my VQ, and I think I woke up 10 times the night before just making sure I didn't oversleep, thinking through the details and being nervous that day. But also in the midst of that, knowing by that time I had been around enough that I knew a lot of the guys that they're okay, they're for me in this as well. And it went pretty well. There were some things I wish would have went better, but overall my VQ turned out okay. From that, then I started getting asked more to queue. And with that, what helped me say yes to more cues was the other guys seeing how they queued and said yes as well. I think a lot of the leadership, and I had talked about this in my COT at my last queue at the mess hall a week ago, a lot of leadership it's just paving the way for others behind you.
Mm.
Meaning in this instance, I see so many other guys, if you ask them, hey, can you cue? They'll just say yes.
Yeah.
From
right.
that. And that, again, it rubs off on me as like, you know what? I
Yeah.
am going to say yes and do that. And that helped me early on. Now, the next step of being a site cue, Good Looking had asked me, and I said, I'm not ready yet, because I'm not ready yet. And work was a lot at that time. It's like, well, I need to hire an employee, and I was working on that, and there was a lot of stuff going on. I was like, when, so not yet. And he would ask another month or two. It's like, not yet. Haven't hired him yet. And then finally it just got to the point. It's like, you know what? I think I'm going to hire him soonish. Okay. I know I don't feel ready, but you know what? I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
To yes, I'll take over the site queue from that. And again, that was other people in F3 leading the way of what that looks like. And leading.
Yeah.
And what was your experience there? I'm sure mostly good memories as a site queue.
Oh, great. Yeah, great memories. It was, again, being a site queue too, about leadership, of like facing my fear of being rejected, like asking, hey, would you like to queue? And realizing, come on, like, I know the other guys, everyone in F3 is like, if they say no, it's because they have other stuff going on. It's not because they think
don't
less
like
of
you.
me.
Yeah.
It's not like,
Right.
But I have to remind myself again, like, no, it's not a character issue. It's like, of just asking, which is a good thing to do, and being willing to be in uncomfortable positions to just ask in general, I think is a good life lesson in general. And I think F3 does well in that. And I think it helps us as men in other areas of our life. Too. Again, when I asked West Ham to take over the site from me, it was like, oh, who do I ask? I don't know. And but then I needed to ask someone. I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask West Ham.
Yeah.
But meeting those, this is uncomfortable, but not letting being uncomfortable keep me from doing stuff.
Yeah.
So
I love it. I'm hearing two resources, right? The Comfort Crisis book that guys should read, and then the
Victory Over Darkness by Neil
Over
Anderson. I don't know the author of Comfort Crisis, but people can look it up. But definitely recommend those two books.
I love it. Talk me through. So you went from corporate world. I don't know if you listen to any Whetstone podcast, but we call that a two phone. You were a 2-phone guy. Meaning I got my personal phone and my corporate phone, and then you went to a 1-phone guy, right? I don't answer to anybody. I just got my one phone. Talk me through leading your own business and your own company.
Yeah.
I don't know, any lessons from F3 translate to leadership on that front? Yeah.
Running my own company is great because I get to make all the decisions.
Yeah.
Running my own company is a lot because I have to make all the decisions. And everything comes down to me. From it. And it's a lot too, like just providing my own like benefits and stuff, like how much practically how much I have to make is a lot more than a salary I would need to make at a corporation. Because I have to provide my own benefits as well. Going on vacation. Again, I did not hire my first employee until a year ago, and I've been working on the company for 15 years. So for 14 years, I never took a true vacation. I would have to check email. Now, that would be like, what that would mean is like half an hour every morning I would check. Stuff like I still have to check just to make sure things were okay. And that wears on you at times. But I've been intentional, like not every week. I don't work 40 hours necessarily every week so that it's sustainable for me. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of reward. But it's also a lot of work. Some people, like when I was able to quit my full-time job and go full-time on my company, it's like, oh, you're living the dream. And I am living the dream, but it's a lot more work than when I was at a corporation too.
Because you're HR, you're the chief legal officer, the CIO, CTO, CEO.
Some days it'd be nice just to work 8 to 5 and leave work at work. But, and God bless my wife, those first 2 or 3 years, because all I was thinking about was getting the company off the ground. And like all our conversation was about that, and talking about that. And she listened well from it. But now I have a better, I don't think about work all the time, and I leave work at work. Like in the evenings, I make sure I'm around my family more and stuff. But it's a lot, and also just putting in the hard work. There's a lot of things I don't want to do, but I need to do them. Like F3. There's a lot of mornings I don't want to get up to go to F3, but every time I do, I feel better. And I think F3 just helps in general. Like I got up and worked out when it's 20 degrees in the morning. Okay, I can answer these 5 emails because it does. Like F3 does help me. Overall, another thing practically that F3's helped me in my job as well is in the winter, I get seasonal depression, more seasonal lethargy. I just, not that I'm depressed, I just don't want to do much. But getting up, working out when it's 10 degrees in February, that helps me get going for the rest of the day. Like I've noticed the past 2 winters, I've not had nearly as much of that because I'm working out. So it has helped me in my company as well.
I love it. It's awesome to hear, right? So clearly your wife, put a lot of trust in you to start this business. Yes. She knew you were reliable because of the way you hit the deer with the Frisbee. Yes. So she knew this guy's got precision and focus. He can do that. He can do anything. But I also love just your vulnerability, the way you've sort of shared like each step of the way, like continuing to put in the work, not just on business or whatever, but like on yourself spiritually, right? And just sort of internally. Because I think sometimes you get really far down the road and you forget like to do that, and so then you see these guys that are really financially successful, but spiritually just broken. And I think that's sometimes they come to F3 and then we get to help them through that. But as you're thinking about, just your journey, and maybe it's F3, maybe it's just life in general, would be curious, any advice that you have for guys, any lessons learned along the way where you're like, if you're going to do.
Yeah, I think it's important to be in a community. F3 is a great community. If you're a Christian, I recommend getting involved in a local church. Find one, get involved on top of F3 and do F3 as well. But in general, I think it's important as men to be involved in a good group of a community of other men as well. And F3 is a great place to do that, and churches as well. But I think community is a big thing. We can be isolated ever since COVID. Especially since COVID, it's easier to be isolated. Working from home is a blessing, but then also it takes more work to actually be involved in a community too. So be involved in a community. I think that's,
I love that, man. We're super lucky that you found us and you're a part of our community. So really,
and I'm glad.
Really appreciate having you.
Yeah.
Well, and then kind of the last thing where we like to wrap up here is, any prayers or words of encouragement guys can give you if they see you out in the gloom or anything?
I love people. So what people can pray about. One would be my son, Daniel. So the third one, he's 10. He was diagnosed with Crohn's last year, which is inflammation of your intestines, but just pray that he's healed. There's no known cure. He's taking, infusions every 2 months to keep it at bay, but we're praying. My wife and I are praying. Kids are praying that there's just long-term healing for him. He's doing okay, well, but we'd love to see that, that there'd be long-term Daniel. From that. And very grateful for modern medicine, but also praying for healing.
Awesome. That's sort of an autoimmune thing, right?
Yes,
and so
is.
there's, but long-term would be great to get him.
Where it doesn't need those.
Well, this has been great. And we're just, I think it's so cool. We were talking before we started, right? Like when we started doing these podcasts, we had no clue what we were doing. And it really quickly turned into not about us and really all about all these great men that we have in the community. So thank you for being no exception to that, right? You're just another awesome leader, awesome man in our community. And we just are honored we get to hear your story and then share it with other guys. So just thank you for who you are. I think it's just really cool to continue to meet these guys that are just outstanding men in the community all across the city, right? East, west, north, south. Like it's just really, really cool. So just blown away by everything you shared. And thank you. We'll do a little name-orama to wrap us up here. I'll start. We'll get to fist bump because we're in person, but we'll virtually.
Do mine virtually.
All right. Brandon Flehardy, 39, The Plague.
Plague.
John Whitworth, 34, Pony Express.
Pony.
Express. Paul Yoder, 42, Bambi.
Bambi. And is there a call sign or anything?
Yeah, they all shoot me, and I yell mother.
Okay. You yell mother.
Well, the
like
Frisbee
Christ.
doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Well, I appreciate you, man. Have a good rest of your day.
Will do.
Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop, yeah. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah. Every man's got a story. We've been broken, we've been bruised, but we rise again and we don't get to choose. Through the fire, through the fight, every man's story burns in the night. Scars on our hands, hope in our chest. We're not defined by the weight of the test. Brothers in step, we carry the flame. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. On a story to tell, from the valley low to the mountaintop, yell. Every man's got a story inside. Different roads, but the heart beats the same. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop, yeah. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man, yeah, every man's got a story. Every man's got a story. Voices rise like thunder, they roll. Truth in the pain, it's shaping the soul. Chains may rattle, but they break in time. Every man's story is yours and mine. From the struggle to the glory, every man's got a story. In the dark or in the light, we keep marching through the night. Every man's got a story inside. Every man's got a story to tell. From the valley low to the mountaintop hill. Every man to the mountaintop hill. Every man's got a story inside. Standing strong, we won't hide. Every man